Tashi Delay, and thank you for coming. My name is Dennis Winters. I'm a landscape architect. And through my studio, Tales of the Earth here in Toronto, I design and make gardens for meditation and write about the landscapes that inspire them. This video cast is called The Sacred Landscape of Pretapuri in Western Tibet. It's an excerpt from my book, Searching for the Heart of Sacred Space, published in 2014 by the Sumeru Press, about my research and pilgrimage to the center of cosmology and one of the 24 sacred sites in the tantric Buddhist mandala. What brought me here? In my search for the origins of the meditation garden, I came across a translation of a 15th century Japanese text on garden making, compiled by a Shingon Buddhist priest and garden maker named Zoen. The text said, "The art of setting stones in the landscape garden originated at the lake called Manasarovar, where stones numbering 8,631 were set, with each of the 8 dragon kings in charge of more than 1,000 stones." I asked my teacher Zaza Rinpoche what he knew about this. He said he hadn't recalled stones like this erected around Lake Manasarovar. However, at the place called Pretapuri, stones had been erected to accord with the sacred landscapes where Shakyamuni Buddha taught in India, so that a pilgrimage to Pretapuri was equivalent to pilgrimage to Bodh Gaya, Vulture's Peak, and Jetavana. So, with a grant from the Graham Foundation for Advanced Studies in the Fine Arts, my research and pilgrimage to Western Tibet was made possible. And after returning, I was honored with the opportunity to present my findings to a number of professional and academic symposia in Cincinnati, Los Angeles, Oxford, and UNESCO in Paris. Watching this video cast, guaranteed you'll never look at the landscape the same way again. There are sacred places in the world to which we travel on pilgrimage, engaging hardship, alighting with possibility. We receive blessings of places that, with their magical and mysterious qualities, captivate and move us to increased awareness. Places energizing feelings and thoughts, attending the spiritual dimensions of life. The sacred landscapes in Western Tibet reverberate in hearts of Buddhists and Hindus throughout the world. Places of pilgrimage held sacred owing to the unique features appearing in natural formations of earth, waters, and skies, and energies emanating from the presence of revered sages who taught and meditated at these spots. Intangible and remote, this landscape embodies the spirits themselves, deities as recognizable natural forces that granted me access to transactional grounds for spiritual discourse with the raw landscape of the Tibetan plateau. Spiritual geography transformed as physical geography. Mount Kailas and Lake Manasarovar embody the center of Buddhist and Hindu cosmology. The Abhidharma, the Buddha's compendium of knowledge, says, of no inherent nature, independence upon the collective karma of all sentient beings, the natural operative process of cause and effect, disks of subtle energies, winds and waters, and the 9 great mountains. In the center, Mount Kailas as Mount Meru, its 4 faces of gold on the north, silver on the east, lapis on the south, and crystal on the west, and Lake Manasarovar as Anavatapta, the lake without heat or trouble. Endowed with 8 magical qualities, its shores, lightwise, of gold, silver, lapis, and crystal. From Anavatapta, 4 great rivers flow toward the 4 cardinal directions. Residing at the peak of Mount Kailas are the tantric Buddhist deities Heruka and Vajravarahi, luminosity and knowing in tantric embrace. Surrounding the center are the 24 sacred landscapes of the body mandala of Heruka and Vajravarahi. Of the 24, there are 8 sacred sites of skywalkers, 8 sacred sites of walkers on earth, and 8 sacred sites of underground walkers. 30 miles west of Mount Kailas, Pretapuri is one of the 8 underground sites, the sex organ of the Heruka Vajravarahi body mandala. Scriptural guidebooks say that pilgrims must visit Pretapuri in order to completely fulfill the holy pilgrimage to Mount Kailas. They also say, don't be deceived by appearances. Question everything you see. And a few good games of billiards wouldn't hurt to help lighten the load. Pretapuri has the same essence as Mount Kailas, deriving its power from the embodiment of wisdom, Vajravarahi. Considered gathering place of all wisdom deities of the Tibetan Buddhist pantheon, their presence is expressed as sacred landscape. They say that pilgrims can naturally hear the source of the mantras all the time and will illuminate complete awakening just by going to this place. The old guidebooks use 3 layers of discourse to present characteristics, and features of Pretapuri. From its 3 circumambulation paths, Pretapuri would reveal her layers as external explanations, internal explanations, and secret explanations, basis upon which to explore this sacred landscape. Independence upon the relationship between this pilgrim and the spirits. Some aspects of the landscape appear rich in external features, while other aspects depend more on the richness of internal explanations, so a minimal degree of spiritual activity would be visually apparent. Spiritual geography transformed as physical geography. The external explanations present the geological phenomena of the landscape through subtleties of enclosed and enclosing spaces, subtleties of geology, hydrology, soils, flora, and fauna, subtleties of mountains and rivers guiding me through ideas about the meaning of life, describing features of Pretapuri. The old guidebooks use geomantic terms found in the Tibetan books of divination, similar to Chinese feng shui. Now, I will explain, the books say, if you wish to know about the outside of this place, the four directions and the beauty and the many amazing things about this place. It has all types of great wonders. The tiger on the east is the mountain on the east, which has stripes on it with many colors. The blue dragon on the south is actually the great river called Coming Out from the Elephant Mouth. The red bird on the west is the big red rock. The end of the big red rock goes into the great river. The yellow turtle on the north is the mountain behind the monastery. Surrounding Pretapuri, the land rises in a series of remnant riverbeds and alluvial terraces of the ancient Sutlej River, developed under the semi-arid conditions north of the Himalayan mountain chain. Native juniper shrubs, the dominant species characteristic of the region, sporadically cover the hills. No more than a half-meter high, these dama bushes are used primarily for firewood and as screens in times of necessary private moments. Upon the broadest of the four terraces on the north side of the river sits the major part of the Pretapuri monastery, the buildings, shrines, caves, and sacred stones. This terrace is tied to a corresponding terrace at the same elevation on the opposite side of the Sutlej River, with 3 sets of ropes of multicolored prayer flags. These help to restore the continuity of subtle energy, earth energies, between both sides of the discontinuous ridge. The most dominant structure on the terrace is the monastery, its latest incarnation dating from 1988. In front of the monastery is a somewhat recently constructed mani wall, a jewel wall, 800 feet long, covered with stones carved with seed syllables and the mantras of Chenrezig, Bodhisattva of compassion. The mani wall is oriented 100 degrees on the compass towards the southwest. It points to the sacred mountain Nanda Devi in India, which can be seen on a clear day 120 miles away, while towards the northeast, it points directly towards Mount Kailas. The Sutlej River flows at the base of Pretapuri, one of the 4 major rivers of Buddhist cosmology. The Sutlej emanates from the vicinity of Lake Manasarovar. It is called Langshan Kambab, the river that issues from the elephant's mouth. From its source, the Sutlej River meanders through a narrow valley into an amphitheater at Pretapuri, where it rapidly flows through a narrow gorge and orgasmically explodes into a majestic valley 2 miles across. Japanese monk Ekai Kawaguchi wrote in 1909 that the location of Pretapuri on the Sutlej River constitutes one of nature's best essays on landscape. And I found the sighting of Pretapuri to be incontestably dramatic and truly significant. Follow this. It amplifies the ability of particular landscapes to affect spiritual engagement. Places that noted teachers choose for meditation retreats, and where disciples build temples, shrines, chortens, and lapche to strengthen their connection to the spirits of landscape. Not unlike solstice and equinox, when awareness of the season's dispositions is most acute, Pretapuri is a liminal landscape. The contact between distinct landforms, conjunction between form and space, where lands, waters, and skies dramatically meet and speak with one another, where mountain meets level plain, river cuts through gorge and flows over embankment, outcrop hangs over valley, and winds rise up windward side and fall over leeward, where sensitivity to rising is heightened by meeting with sensitivity of falling, and sensitivity to motion is increased by meeting with rest, where landscape most poignantly reveals the essence of nature's divine operations, and pilgrims are drawn for spiritual renewal, most clearly sensing who they are and what they're made of through their relationship to landscape. These are the transactional grounds where pilgrims make sacred pacts with the deities, charging the atmosphere with the power of those pacts, absorbing the energy of the landscape, breathing it, and as it flows through their veins, strike chords in their hearts to make them sing. Spiritual geography transformed as physical geography. The internal explanations present stories and legends that transpire at Pretapuri, designating and investing the site with the more subtle attributes the pilgrim accords to sacred landscape. These are tales about the famous teachers residing there, deities who make their appearance, and the phenomena that could be seen as a result of their presence. Originally given the name Pretapuri, meaning the place of pilgrimage on the sacred river, it subsequently became known as Pretapuri, the city of beings who take rebirth as wandering, hungry ghosts, always hungry because their bellies are so large, their throats so small, always wandering, looking for sustenance. A few pretas managed to rise from the hot springs and along the fault line at the base of the escarpment. They come with a bare hope of receiving blessings from deities and offerings from the pilgrim. When Giuseppe Tucci visited Pretapuri in 1936, he wrote, "The fantasies of pilgrims gives a name to every one of those springs. Every rock has a legend. Each piece of ground requires prostrations. The ground is consecrated to the divinities. You must be very careful with what you do and how you do it. Occult forces are found everywhere, and spirits are ready to appear from the ground." Scattered throughout the landscape are physical manifestations of Giuseppe Tucci's occult forces and spirits, the Rangjin, self-appeared images, soft, fine grained calcium carbonate remnants of the mountain eroded by the action of wind-borne sand, appearing in all landscape features on the ground, in the rocks, and up the cliffs. You can see them very clearly. Overlooking them is the lion-faced Dakini, protecting the escarpment where the rock gorge opens to the majestic valley. 8 images of Padmasambhava traveling through Tibet in the 9th century to tame and transform the resident cannibal spirit. The self-appeared image of Mount Kailas. The self-appeared image of Garuda, from which pilgrims take the sacred healing powder. The housefly spirit. The dissected and eroded calcium carbonate hillside. Jabber the Hutt. The miniature stone caves evoking the practice caves of the teachers who meditated here. Now, the pilgrim treads tenuous terrain. Spiritual geography transformed as physical geography. We are transformed through engagement with the secret explanations of Pretapuri. Expression of the pilgrim's identification with the fully awakened mind, the center of the tamed and transformed landscape, earth, waters, and skies as the subtle things and thoughts of the Vajrayana, harnessing the spark of awakening, the process of overcoming physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual obstacles, cultivating equanimity, compassion, and loving kindness for all animate and inanimate things and beings, realizing ultimate and relative truths, and when all else seems to fail, just being kind. Engaging Pretapuri as artistic expression of Haruka and Vajravarahi in this tantric embrace of luminosity and knowing, for in the secret explanations of Vajrayana, next to dying, sex with an actual consort in advanced spiritual practice is a most potent force for navigating through life, transforming ordinary paroxysms of afflictive emotions in spiritual realization. With Pretapuri as the sexual organ of the tantric couple and its 1,100,000 erotic dakinis, Vajravarahi's wisdom massages the power of this place. Her sexual parts painted as geomorphology, Haruka's as fruition, the absence of suffering and non-duality. So that here in Pretapuri, contemplating the indivisibility of subject, action, and object, questioning if landscape merely serves as background to the provocative act or as the actual consort itself, the pilgrim meditates. We are Haruka and Vajravarahi, spiritual landscape and tantric couple as one. We generate inner abdominal heat, hold orgasm at our tips, Focus on the central channel, the indestructible drop at the heart, and realize the nature of the mind, infinitely prolonging creativity and beauty in each moment. Obviously, this isn't ordinary landscape. It certainly isn't ordinary sex. Taken together, the pilgrim is exposed to landscape as physical expression of the spiritual teachings, the beauty of its artistry, the expression of divinity. Accordingly, not only is this landscape a source of inspiration, its teachings reveal spiritual paths showing how awakened teachers learned to do what they do, going as deeply to the source of their designs would teach this pilgrim the means to design and express landscape as spiritual practice as the design of landscape, what I would call the noble truth of design. Sacred landscape blessed with the same essence of as the awakened mind, and the awakened mind as the pilgrim's spark of awakening, the seed of the Buddha, the heart of sacred space. Here, the host of deities recognize the value that the pilgrim places in the unique qualities of sacred landscape and appear in ways with which the pilgrim can communicate. The rocks in the landscape, consecrated by the great teachers, contain the energy and blessings of the deities. For Buddhists, these deities are present all the time. For those who believe in their presence, they can be seen as clearly as you and I. This gives us great encouragement and inspiration. Obviously, this research has been no less an awakening for this pilgrim as time is up. I'll close with this paragraph from Anagarika Govinda's Way of the White Cloud. And while the pilgrim touches holy ground with forehead and adds a few more stones to those heaped up by previous pilgrims, in token of his devotion and happiness to have been granted the realization of his life's dreams, there is only one prayer in mind. May I never forget it. May I always be blessed to keep this realization alive within me. Thank you. So, as in the past with the other slides, if you wish to follow up, contact me, Dennis Winters, talesoftheearth.com, my email down below. Thank you so much.